I will never forget the moment I walked into the private dining room at the Grand View in Manhattan and realized my seat had been deliberately omitted. The table was perfectly set for 10, with crystal stemware catching the chandelier light and fresh floral arrangements scenting the air. But one place was missing. No name card for me. No chair pulled out. It felt like the room itself had erased me. And in that instant, every subtle rejection from the past 3 years crystallized into brutal clarity. Let me take you back because the real story began long before that evening. 3 years earlier, I left my life in Atlanta behind to marry Brandon Whitaker and moved to New York City. I was 28, full of dreams, convinced that love would smooth every rough edge. Brandon came from old New York money. His family traced roots back to Gilded Age bankers and socialites who still clung to exclusive clubs and summer homes in the Hamptons. I was Aaliyah Brooks, an interior designer who had built a small but growing studio specializing in bold, colorful spaces that celebrated personal stories. To the Whitakers, my work was a charming hobby, something cute that kept me occupied while I tried to fit into their world. That morning in our sleek Upper East Side apartment overlooking Central Park, Brandon was already dressed in his tailored navy suit, scrolling through market reports while sipping black coffee from a porcelain cup. I had spent weeks saving for Evelyn's 70th birthday gift, a rare vintage Hermes scarf in soft cashmere and silk, the kind that cost nearly $4,000 from my design earnings. I wrapped it carefully and showed it to him. "This should make your mom feel special," I said, hoping for warmth. He glanced briefly. "Nice choice, Aaliyah. She'll appreciate it." No real acknowledgement of the sacrifice. No recognition that I was still trying desperately to earn a place at their table. I swallowed the sting and continued preparing. I chose my outfit with care, an emerald green dress that hugged my curves and made my skin glow. Hair styled in soft waves. Makeup that emphasized my eyes and high cheekbones. I practiced my smile in the bathroom mirror, willing it to look genuine rather than forced. Before heading out, I texted Brandon, running a few minutes late from traffic. "Please save me a seat next to you." His reply was a simple thumbs-up emoji. Nothing affectionate. No "can't wait to see you," or "you look beautiful." Just that cold confirmation. The taxi ride through Manhattan's crowded streets felt endless. Horns blared. Pedestrians rushed. But my mind was elsewhere, replaying years of microaggressions, Evelyn's pointed comments about Southern charm, masking her disdain for my Atlanta roots. The way family photos always position me on the edge or slightly out of focus. The dinners where conversations flowed around me as if I were invisible furniture. The Grand View was the pinnacle of New York exclusivity, marble floors, gold-accented walls, waitstaff who moved silently like they were calculating your net worth with every glance. I had only been here once before, for Brandon's promotion dinner 2 years earlier, when Evelyn had given a toast thanking everyone except me. The hostess's smile tightened slightly when I gave the Whitaker name, then recovered. "The party is already seated. Follow me, please." My heart hammered as we approached the private room. Laughter spilled out. Familiar voices, Evelyn at the head in a silver gown that shimmered under the lights. Brandon relaxed beside her. His brother Trevor and sister-in-law Brooke chatting. Cousins filling the rest. I scanned the table. 10 place settings. 10 name cards in elegant calligraphy. My eyes darted from chair to chair. Searching. Nothing. No card with Aaliyah. No empty chair pulled out for me. They had set the table without me. I stood frozen in the doorway. 30 seconds of crushing silence. Faces turned toward me. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Trevor smirked. Brooke pulled out her phone. Brandon finally looked up and let out a light chuckle. "Oops. Looks like we miscounted the guests." The room exploded in laughter, real, genuine laughter that echoed off the walls. Evelyn hid her smile behind her wine glass. Someone snapped a photo. My face burned with humiliation, but deeper than embarrassment was the shattering realization. This wasn't an oversight. It was intentional. They had chosen to exclude me. Something inside me broke, not my heart, which had been fracturing slowly for years, but the part of me that still hoped, still bent, still smiled through the pain to belong. I met each pair of eyes, letting them see the full weight of my understanding. Then I looked directly at Brandon and spoke in a voice steady and ice-cold that silenced the laughter. I see now. I'm not family after all. I turned, head high, and walked out past the staring diners and confused hostess into the cool Manhattan evening air. My hands didn't shake as I pulled out my phone on the sidewalk. I dialed the event coordinator, Victor Lang, who had handled the booking months earlier. He answered cheerfully. Mrs. Whitaker, is everything going smoothly? My voice was calm steel. Victor, cancel the entire event immediately. The venue reservation, catering, wine service, cake, music, everything. I authorized the deposits, so I have the authority. Stunned silence followed. But Mrs. Whitaker, the family is already dining. Appetizers are being served. I cut him off sharply. Cancel it now. All of it. I hung up and kept walking, ignoring the first vibrations of incoming calls. Back in the private room, the family had already moved on, chatting and laughing as if I had never appeared. Evelyn held court with a story about her recent trip to Aspen, waving her hands dramatically. Waiters brought out chilled oysters and caviar. Brooke angled her phone for social media shots to flaunt the Whitaker wealth. Brandon relaxed fully, relieved perhaps that he no longer had to pretend concern for my feelings. No one mentioned my name. No one suggested an apology or that the joke had gone too far. They simply erased me, the way they always had. Then Victor entered, face pale. The conversation halted. Evelyn's glass paused midway to her lips. There's been a problem, Victor said, voice unsteady. The entire event has been canceled by the account holder. You must leave the premises immediately. Chaos erupted. Brooke gasped. Trevor demanded managers and lawyers. Brandon's face shifted from confusion to fury. But Evelyn's expression was the most telling, narrow eyes. Calculating coldness. She knew who had paid the deposits 3 months earlier when she complained about costs. I had offered to cover them as a gesture, and she had accepted without thanks, treating it as my duty as the outsider proving worthiness. Victor explained they had minutes to vacate. Other reservations waited. The kitchen was shutting down their service. The family scrambled, but the damage was spreading. I was already several blocks away in another taxi, mind clear for the first time in years, heading home to finish what I had quietly planned. As my taxi wove through Manhattan traffic toward our apartment, the reality settled in like a deep breath after holding it for too long. I wasn't running from humiliation. I was walking toward freedom. The past 3 years had taught me that no amount of effort would make the Whitakers see me as equal. Tonight proved it beyond doubt. I had been funding part of Evelyn's lavish birthday as a final attempt to buy acceptance, but now that generosity became the tool of my liberation. I arrived home in under 20 minutes. The doorman nodded politely, unaware of the storm. Inside the apartment, I moved with purpose. First, I called the moving company I had hired discreetly 2 weeks earlier, after noticing my name omitted from the party invitation Brandon brought home. Everything ready for pickup in 30 minutes, I confirmed. Then I began systematically removing every trace of myself. I started in the bedroom. Half the walk-in closet emptied quickly, my clothes, shoes, accessories packed into suitcases I had prepositioned. The bathroom counter cleared, skincare, makeup, hair products all mine.
Gone.
In the kitchen, I took my specialized cookware, the spice rack I assembled with seasonings from my Atlanta roots that Evelyn had once dismissed as too heavy for refined palates, and the colorful throw pillows I had designed myself. Family heirlooms, the antique sofa from Evelyn's mother, the formal dining table, paintings of Whitaker ancestors remained untouched. I erased only what represented me, leaving the cold museum of their legacy intact. On the kitchen counter, where I once left affectionate notes for Brandon in happier times, I placed a sealed envelope addressed to him in my precise handwriting. Inside was a letter I had written and revised over days, pouring out 3 years of pain without exaggeration. It detailed the ignored feelings, the dismissed concerns, the silent complicity in family exclusion. It ended firmly. I was leaving the marriage, the city, the role of invisible wife. The deposits I had covered for the party were my final contribution, payment for the lesson they taught me about never belonging. Divorce papers would follow.
Do not contact me.
Next came the finances. Our joint account held over $75,000 from Brandon's salary, bonuses, and investments. As an authorized holder, I transferred everything out legally via the banking app, adding a memo note, payment for 3 years of disrespect. We're even. No fraud. No theft, just exercising my rights in a joint account under New York law. The movers arrived efficiently. They loaded my belongings, including my design portfolio, client files, laptop, and even a small safe containing important documents and jewelry. By the time they finished, the apartment felt hollow, stripped of warmth. I took one last look, the empty spaces where my presence had once brought life, and left without regret. Meanwhile, at the Grand View, panic unfolded. Victor's announcement triggered immediate uproar. Brooke shrieked about embarrassment as other diners stared and recorded discreetly. Trevor demanded explanations. Brandon frantically dialed me, but my phone was already powered off. Evelyn sat rigidly, realizing the financial leverage I held. They were escorted out like ordinary patrons, dignity in tatters, gifts unopened. The multi-tiered cake wheeled away uneaten. The family piled into cars, speeding toward the apartment with Evelyn commanding haste. Brandon ran red lights, gripped by dread. They knew I had 30 minutes alone with keys and access. Upon arrival, the doorman confirmed I had left with suitcases. They rushed upstairs, expecting destruction, smashed heirlooms, graffiti,
Rage.
Instead, they encountered something far more devastating, my complete, professional erasure. The letter was discovered first. Brandon read it aloud, voice cracking. The family searched drawers and closets, confirming passports, files, and valuables were gone. Banking apps revealed the zero balance. Evelyn's face drained of color as legal reality sank in. This was no impulsive act, but a meticulously planned exit. The drive back to the Upper East Side apartment was frantic. Brandon's hands shook on the wheel. Evelyn gripped her purse tightly from the passenger seat, issuing sharp commands. The rest of the family, Trevor,
Brooke,
cousins, crammed in behind, faces pale under streetlights. They had been publicly humiliated at the Grand View, escorted out mid-meal with phones capturing every moment. Now dread mounted about what waited at home. They screeched to a halt. The doorman hesitantly warned that I had departed with luggage earlier. Ignoring him, Brandon jabbed the elevator button repeatedly. The ascent felt eternal. Evelyn muttered threats of arrest if anything was damaged. Doors opened. They rushed the hallway. Brandon fumbled the key, then pushed inside. The space wasn't destroyed. That stunned them more than vandalism would have. Heirlooms stood pristine, the antique sofa, formal table, ancestor portraits, all untouched. but every personal trace of me had vanished. Colorful pillows I designed. Wedding trip photos from our happier Bali escape, now bright squares on faded walls. My cookware. Spices gone. The bathroom and closet halves were empty. The office was professionally cleared. Filing cabinets removed. Safe extracted, leaving a wall hole. Brooke found the envelope first. Brandon's hands trembled opening it. As he read aloud, his voice broke repeatedly. The letter laid bare 3 years of efforts ignored. Feelings dismissed. Exclusion enabled. It declared the end of the marriage. The deposits as final payment. And warned against contact. Divorce papers incoming. The joint account confirmation hit next. Zero balance. Legal withdrawal noted with the pointed memo. Bank calls confirmed my rights as joint holder, no recourse. Reality crushed them. This was calculated. Prepared since the invitation, oversight weeks earlier. Evidence of planning surfaced. Cleaned office. Prepositioned movers. Timed finances. Evelyn paced. Calling lawyers demanding options. Trevor questioned asset exposure. The family argued, with some like younger cousin Lila whispering realizations about years of subtle erasure in photos and gatherings. Social media exploded with videos of their restaurant ejection. Hashtags trending. Comments praising my stand while condemning their snobbery. My design business surged with inquiries. Brandon collapsed amid empty hangars. Rereading old messages revealing his pattern of choosing family comfort over defending me. Evelyn pushed for court fights. But lawyers warned of strong evidence I held, texts, recordings, videos documenting neglect. The nights stretched into painful reflection as consequences mounted. 48 hours later, divorce papers arrived via courier requiring multiple signatures. 70-plus pages detailed my claims. Evelyn insisted on lawyer review. What they uncovered was damning. Archived texts where Brandon dismissed my pain as sensitivity, emails excluding me from events, recordings of family dinners with cutting remarks met by his silence, videos showing me sidelined in toasts and photos. Lawyers assessed strong grounds for emotional neglect claims under New York equitable distribution, potentially impacting apartment,
Car.
vacation home portions funded jointly, and investments. Evelyn resisted apology demands initially, but pressure mounted from reputational damage. The viral video now millions of views. News coverage framing me as empowered survivor. My business booming with clients inspired by boundary-setting stories. Brandon attempted final outreach, disconnected numbers, bounced emails, friends refusing details. The family fractured further. Brooke deleted accounts and relocated temporarily. Some sought therapy examining patterns. Evelyn and her husband attended counseling after long simmering issues surfaced. Settlement negotiations yielded 40% of joint assets, offsetting the withdrawal. Plus the required court-filed apology letter from Evelyn acknowledging mistreatment, a 2-paragraph document revised repeatedly to remove defensiveness. Meanwhile, I had resettled in Atlanta, leasing a renovated warehouse studio filled with my bold designs. I hired a team of talented young creators, often told they didn't belong, teaching them self-worth. Business inquiries flooded in globally. One afternoon, an email from Brandon arrived titled, "I finally understand." I deleted it unread. Some closures remain permanent. Months later, the divorce finalized cleanly. I kept the viral video still of the empty chair as a private reminder, not of pain, but of the catalyst that forced me to claim space. The Whitakers taught harsh lessons through exclusion, but I transformed them into independence. I built my own table, surrounded by those who truly see and celebrate me. The empty chair gift ultimately liberated me to stand tall. Never again invisible. 1 month post-incident, the divorce finalized in a quiet courthouse session. I received my settlement without trial, Thanks to overwhelming evidence and Evelyn's reluctant apology, letter filed officially. Brandon signed alone in the now-echoing apartment, surrounded by relics of a life that never felt like home. The Whitaker reputation recovered slowly. Evelyn curtailed social appearances for months. Trevor faced workplace whispers. Brooke distanced herself, while some family members pursued personal growth through therapy and honest dialogues about inherited snobbery. Back in Atlanta, my new studio thrived. Walls showcased vibrant, story-driven interiors. Clients praised authenticity. Media features highlighted my journey as inspiration for navigating difficult in-laws. A publisher approached about a book on boundaries, which I considered thoughtfully. On a sunny morning reviewing proposals, a call came for a major Manhattan project, ironically, but I politely declined. Some bridges stay burned. I kept one printed still from the viral video, the empty chair. Not a scar, but talisman proving my worth isn't granted by others' tables. I learned to construct my own, filling it with supportive friends, collaborators, and self-respect. The Whitakers underestimated me, but their cruelty forged my resilience. I didn't just escape, I flourished, turning invisibility into unapologetic presence. That forgotten chair became the greatest unintended gift, compelling me to rise, claim space, and never look back. True belonging starts within, and I finally claimed mine completely.